All right, F1, the movie, is the
motion picture.
The motion picture.
Come on, they should have done that.
Superman, the motion picture, whatever.
Yeah. The most authentic racing movie ever made. That's what Joseph Kosinski set out to do.
Joseph Kosinski, their director, also co-writer of this. He did Top Gun Maverick previously. Most famously did Tron Legacy in the past.
His magnum opus,
Tron Legacy. Which I realized when looking up stuff about him recently, that was his first movie he ever directed.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that is an insane movie to have as your first movie.
I do appreciate him coming out and saying, though, that this movie, F1, has just as much VFX in it as Tron Legacy does, which I think is like surprising to people.
I mean, VFX is such a broad.
It is, but he's like, there is just as much like consideration of that, like as there was.
Well,
in
it
Tron
also
Legacy.
helps that this movie is an hour longer than Tron Legacy.
Well, okay, hold on, settle down.
No, yeah. So I mean, F1. Imagine it's Top Gun Maverick, but it's cars.
Yeah.
That is, and that's not a inaccurate description of this movie.
It's not.
Honestly, it's pretty comparable.
I think the Venn diagram is, if you enjoyed Top Gun Maverick, you will also enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I mean, we've been describing it as a dad movie. I think it is certainly a dad movie,
and it's broader appeal than that.
Yeah, it's not like just dads will appreciate it, but it is very much like I don't know, has a certain formula that. Tried and true.
Formula One,
one could say.
Thank
yes,
you.
Very
Thank
good.
Yeah. This movie is incredible. I mean, it is an achievement in filmmaking, which Top Gun Maverick also was. So like Joseph Kosinski is just like, you have found your niche of just making things.
Make Top Gun Maverick in different avenues, different genres.
Boats next time.
That would be good. Let's do boats.
Apparently he's doing Miami Vice, which there are some boats in that. So boats. We'll see you next time, Joseph Kosinski. But yeah, it is something they have not done before. Like, they've made a film that hasn't been done in this way.
Aside from Gran Turismo.
Aside from Gran Turismo. Which I did enjoy. Yeah. I think I like racing movie formulas as someone
Formula One.
As someone who hasn't done this. But this is even a level beyond Gran Turismo. Insane how they made this movie. I'm very excited to dive into all the spoilers when we get there. We are still spoiler free for now. But yeah, I just think that what they did to make this movie is phenomenal. The amount of planning they had to do. Now, I don't know, did you do any research into how they made this movie, Holden?
Absolutely none.
All right. So I'll fill you in then. They filmed this movie at actual Formula One Grand Prix. They had to. So Formula One, as I understand, is very strict about their schedule. And they allotted this the very first thing they did is at this first race of this season, where Sonny Hayes, Brad Pitt's character, is trying to return to the sport. He's based on a real person. Martin Donnelly, I think, is his name. So this crash is actually a real crash that happened that they show in this movie. Coming back in real life, Martin Donnelly's career ended, and they really spoke to him. And in this movie, it's kind of, all right, Sonny Hayes, Brad Pitt's making a comeback. And then you have this hot shot, JP, as Brad Pitt calls him, who's, got to be molded into the driver, and they're kind of clashing with each other, that sort of thing. Because I guess in Formula One, which we are not fans of before this movie.
I hate Formula One.
But Formula One apparently is your greatest rival is actually the other driver, which is a unique concept. On the other driver on your own team. So I think that dynamic really works well in here, and it worked well for the production of this movie too. And I can get into more of that. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is they have this British Grand Prix. I forget the name of it now. Does it say, Holden?
Daytona.
Daytona. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh gosh, I heard it a million times when I was doing this. The very first one.
The very first one.
you're gonna whatever. They pull in there, they're doing the national anthem. It's like they're actually there for the national anthem. They're actually there in like the formation lap doing the thing and getting the heck out of the way. And at all these events, Silverstone, that's it. At all these events, they are given like 10-minute windows to film what they need to film and get the heck out of there. They use a Formula 2 car, which to my understanding is not as fast. But they made it look like a Formula 1 car. They had to use cameras. So they had their Top Gun Maverick set up. And they like had to make it way smaller to be able to fit on the actual Formula 1 drivers' cars. Because like, as you see in this movie, the engineering of these cars is so meticulous. And the TV broadcasts are allowed to have like these tiny little cameras in the halo, the thing that goes like around their head to like live stream in. And so they had to develop a camera just that size. Well, they partnered with Apple for this. So Apple like developed this for them with their product, their components that go into iPhones and whatnot. And they were able to fit a 4K camera into these little halos and get actual footage and stuff like that. But I think it's fascinating that they were actually at all of these events during their 2023 Grand Prix season. And had like 10 minutes, 20 minutes to film these things, which they're off by themselves, usually on like days leading up to the race where they do certain qualifying things and stuff. And then they film like the actual race and they like stitch it all together. Yeah. So they're using visual effects to make it look like Brad Pitt. And what's his name? Something Idris. Damson Idris. Look like they're actually in the race. And it is Brad Pitt and Damson Idris actually driving these cars at 180 miles per hour. Insane that this is all happening. And they get like, when they went to Las Vegas in this, which is like the kind of this, as my understanding is like a sketchy Formula 1 track as they can be, because the track only exists for a couple of days because it's in the Las Vegas Strip. Yeah. Like once, actually they didn't, I think it was the first time they did it. They, or one of the first times they did this Las Vegas Grand Prix, they didn't have the manhole covers sealed all the way, one of them. And so a Formula 1 car went, and the difference in air pressure and speed literally sucked the manhole cover into the Formula 1 car and like damaged this, super expensive vehicle. But they had no practice on that racetrack, and they had to just go out and do it, which is insane. And hearing Joseph Kosinski talk about it, and Jerry Bruckheimer and Brad Pitt and all these people, they had like literally had mapped out, okay, here's where you're going to say this line. Here's where you're going to do this. And again, you can only see their eyes. So they're like having to do like all this thought process and rehearsal and all this preparation going into these 10 and 20 minute bursts where they have to do these things. And it's just crazy. And they have scenes that take place like talking to different executives and different racers and stuff on the tracks. That's real. That's there. That's in front of 100,000 people actually. And we have very limited time to do it. So all of that being said, I think that means like, holy smokes, everything in this movie is seamless. You cannot tell what is real, what is not real. Yeah, it all feels very authentic. I think it is such a monumental achievement in a very similar way that Top Gun Maverick, and maybe even more so because of the constraints that they dealt with to not interfere with the actual Formula 1 events happening.
It makes sense to me that they make it that way, just because as whenever you're not like directly facing the drivers in the car, you can't really tell who's driving or anything, right? So like it makes sense that they're able to take actual races and just kind of make that be part of the movie and everything, because you can't really see like Brad Pitt unless you're directly facing him front on or whatever. You just kind of know what car he's driving. So.
And they had to adapt too, because like they had like certain story beats that they just had to change because of like there's a big crash in one of the real races at the beginning. So they're like, okay, I guess we're gonna have this big crash at the beginning of this race, at the beginning, during one of the races in the movie. So that's all really impressive. They one of the producers of this movie, Lewis Hamilton, is a renowned Formula One
He's in it.
driver.
Isn't he? I'm pretty sure he's in this.
He might be in it for a little bit. He was like, he wanted to be like a star in it. In fact, he wanted to be in Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, wow.
And they couldn't find a spot for him, but that kind of established the connection. And they're like, hey, do you want to help us out?
Yeah, he's a Mercedes driver.
Okay. They're like, hey, you want to help out with this? And he was like, very much like, is this authentic to the sport? Helped with their sound production. Like, oh no, like you're playing a fourth gear sound effect here and it should sound like fifth gear when he's going around this certain turn or like on this, whatever. All that insane stuff. And just like, oh no, you're actually, that's a Ferrari engine and it needs to sound like a Mercedes engine. And like just down to all these hyper specific details. Super heavily involved, and they credit him for like they would not have been able to do this movie without him. Apparently, a really good person as well. They said so. Again, production of this mind-boggling. The amount of thought and preparation that had to go into this.
Sure.
Does it work as a movie though?
Yeah,
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does. I mean, it has some of the more like generic underdog come around parts, but I do like the rivalry that you have between your two lead characters. I think that's an interesting thing because they talked about, I think it was, I can't remember who it was. Someone asked about like how you have, normally in a sports movie, there's like a villain team, like an antagonist team, but they had to, they didn't want to actually antagonize, real Formula One drivers, or they'd have to make another fake team. And they said that was just going to be too convoluted to do that. So having it be the rivals, I think, was a really cool narrative way to do this.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the fact that the whole point of the movie is you have the rival and then you're also just trying to win the race and trying to, going for the glory and everything. That's kind of like Top Gun Maverick, where there's not really a villain other than just a faceless group of people, like, just a vague other nation that you're going up against. And it's mostly just about training for this mission, trying to successfully pull it off.
Yeah. It's about, we want to get to this certain place. We need to, basically they're like, the premise of the movie is, Javier Bardem comes in and he says, look, we need to win a race before the end of the season. Otherwise, I'm forced to sell my Formula One team and I'll be super broke. So it's that story. Can they pull it off? Can they do it? And all the trials and tribulation that happens.
You, Maverick, to come in and whip our team into shape. Sonny, my bad.
Yeah. This movie is also, I would compare it to Moneyball. Speaking of, we did talk about Aaron Sorkin earlier on the podcast.
Speaking of Brad Pitt.
Yeah, speaking of Brad Pitt, he plays a very similar character. I think I said that when we reviewed one of the original trailers too. In Moneyball, Brad Pitt's a general manager who is more like the behind the scenes, putting the team together for the 2002 Oakland Athletics of Major League Baseball. But in this one, obviously he's more like the driver, but he's coming in with these ideas. How do we challenge this system that's in place? How do we manipulate things on the margins for our advantage, which is very much an idea in Moneyball. So if you like this, I think you also would like Moneyball. It doesn't have, it's baseball, so it's not, you're not going 180 miles per hour, but both movies have like this sort of spiritual appreciation for their sport as well as like a very scientific, analytical, mathematical based appreciation for their sport as well, which I think is really cool. But yeah, no, this movie is so immersive. I think it begs to be seen on the big screen. Yeah, like we weren't even necessarily in an IMAX or XD or whatever, Dolby Theater or whatever. But it was still incredibly immersive. It's a long movie too, and it's
2.5 hours, I think. Yeah.
It doesn't feel it.
No, not really.
It's pretty. It's pretty heart pumping, I was going to the restroom before the movie and I was right next to the XD theater that was playing. You could tell it was playing F1 because you could hear it and you could feel it just going to the bathroom, which I have never felt it going to the bathroom before at our theater.
Sitting on the toilet.
Yeah. So it passes the toilet test.
Oh.
So there you go.
Was a test.
Yeah, it's a test. It's
right.
official. We're patent pending. I think it's great. I think the cast is really good in this movie. Well paced, very immersive, accomplishes what it's going for. Makes me more interested in Formula One. I don't know if I'd actually sit down and watch a race, but like I've been learning just about how like just the science and math behind how these vehicles are made and stuff. And I think that's all really compelling. Because I love learning about how to make things like really efficient and think outside the box solutions that the evolution of these cars since they began. So all that's really, really cool. Just very well done. I think a lot of people should go out to see it. I think it's pretty accessible. Obviously, we are not fans. They said it was a challenge to not dumb it down too much. I definitely feel like there were times where the commentators who are real F1 commentators are clearly just explaining
for the audience who doesn't know anything about F1.
Yeah. Oh, he's doing this in the formation lap because of this and this and this. But yeah, if you want to learn about different types of tires and how tires impact races,
I'll tell you here.
They'll do it. Mm-hmm. It reminded me of like Twisters a little bit too, like their science where you're like, hell yeah, that kind of works. You know, like, oh, we're going to design this car this specific way for this sort of thing. You're like, I don't really know if that's a thing, but I'm going to buy into it for this movie.
Sure.
I've been dominating this conversation, Holden.
I don't know. I mean, you're a lot more passionate about it. I mean, I like this movie. I wouldn't say it's like the best thing I've ever seen or anything, but
you need to bring more dad energy into this conversation. Holden.
More dad energy.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, the cars went really fast. That was cool. I thought it was pretty cool, you know, and love Brad Pitt. Grew up with him, you know. Loved seeing him in the theaters in the 90s. That was great.
Did you ever see this movie Fight Club?
Yeah. But you've never heard of this.
Yeah. I think, anything else to say non-spoiler wise here before we dive into our spoiler-filled discussion?
Not really. I mean, I thought performance-wise across the board, it was pretty good. We didn't really talk about that. I thought Brad Pitt was, I mean, he's like playing Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I feel like the kind of standout bits with his performance is more so physically with having actually driven the cars and everything. Because everything else, it kind of feels like, yeah, we've maybe seen this before from him. And granted, he's good at it. But, no, I mean, what's the other guy's name?
Damson Idris.
Damson Idris, he was really good. Liked him a lot. Carrie Condon's in this.
Mm-hmm.
She was great. Javier Bardem is always a fun presence. So, yeah, it was a good cast. Yeah, it's kind of surprising. I mean, obviously, like knowing kind of and hearing about the behind the scenes, it makes sense why this movie cost so much money. But at the same time, when I first like saw the budget on this movie, I'm like kind of surprised it's not like more star-studded than it is. I mean, you got Brad Pitt, who I'm sure, takes a big chunk of change, but then everyone else is.
I think you got $30 million for this.
Okay. So, but yeah, then you've got everyone else who's not on that level, but you still have like a $250 to $300 million budget. 200 to 300 is what Wikipedia has for the estimate. So, yeah,
it's just a little bit of a difference between 200 and 300 million.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all on the screen. It looks great. You have a Hans Zimmer score in this.
Yeah, I was gonna say Hans Zimmer did the score. It's very much a Hans Zimmer score.
Yeah, it's like fine. I don't really remember anything too much about it. I mean, it fit the movie.
It's good.
Yeah,
it fits. They do have a lot of just like soundtrack pop music in it too, which I'm like, okay, whatever. You do have Hans Zimmer. Yeah. I would maybe utilize him a little bit more, but. Again,
it could be Hans Zimmer's intern. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. What do you want to rate this movie, Holden, on your scale?
I think it's probably an 8 out of 10.
All right. Yeah. There you go. That's a good score for you. And Holden, 5 out of 10 is your average.
Yes.
You're not one of these, 7 out of 10. It's a good movie.
No,
Holden's like
5's average.
Other people's 7 is Holden's 5. All right. So 8 out of 10. That's a very solid movie from you, Holden.
Yeah, I'm not speaking up too much. I'm not like super passionate about this movie. I think it's good. I don't know if I really enjoyed watching it, but I don't know if I'll like rush out to see it again.
Rush.
Another racing movie.
I haven't seen that one.
I haven't
Heard it's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I really enjoyed the movie, and I have a greater appreciation for it now that I've seen all the craftsmanship that went into making this. Phenomenal. I would like to see something like this and not get a nomination for Best Picture, just like Top Gun Maverick did, right? I think Top Gun
Maverick got nominated. Yeah.
I think this one deserves one too, just because of it's just something that has not been done before.
Too bad it is coming out it's the year before they're adding the stunt category of the Oscars.
Yeah.
So that will not be in consideration for that.
But this one gave me that exhilaration that Mission Impossible 8 didn't quite get for me.
Sure.
Didn't quite do it. Like, that where like this is so immersive and incredible what I'm watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, yeah, that's fair. They're very different. So
very different movies, but just like in terms of that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sure. There we go. We're going to dive into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go out and see it on the biggest screen possible. Otherwise, come back and watch the rest of this.
All right, spoilers for F1. Spoiler, that's a car pun right there.
There we go.
Very good.
Yeah, well, I'm exhausted by you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you've seen Top Gun, you know everything that's going to happen in this. Top Gun Maverick, pretty much. I don't know where to start with spoilers on this.
Well, let's just talk about scenes that we enjoyed, things that we liked about the movie, that sort of thing.
I do want to say, okay, I'll say, I think, and this isn't necessarily, I don't know if this is too much of a downside for me, but I think the final race is a bit underwhelming for me, just comparatively, because I feel like every other race kind of has like an angle to it or something. Like there's a race that's basically Brad Pitt just Mario Karting like the track. There's one where he's just like purposefully slowing everyone down himself. So then
he would be the absolute worst.
Yeah.
If you were on another team,
oh my God,
I wouldn't be able to stand this guy.
And I feel like most of these other races, and then you've of course got the race where he kind of gets his anger get the best of him, all this stuff. So there's a lot of different angles, but then the last one just feels like the most normal of a race, and
like you just have to win.
Yeah, you just have to win, and it's impressive. It's a very well done race, like the rest of them are, and it's got its moments, but I just feel like it's a bit underwhelming because it doesn't have a little extra there because all the other ones do.
Well, I think the extra thing that it does have is that, moment, Chekhov's spiritual racing moment where everything slows down or whatever they say.
Bullet time.
Yeah, bullet time where he's just gliding. He's flying. What's he doing? He's flying. Just takes off. Yeah, that was a nice moment. I mean, very much telegraphed, but I think it is poetic that was based on. They didn't write the movie with that angle already. That was based on what their producer Lewis Hamilton said, like was what he loved so much about Formula One was this spiritual experience that he has driving F1 cars. So just having that time slow down and just being in that flow state in the zone and just everything disappearing. I did think it was interesting. They talked to an F1 driver and they said, is like normal driving, just really boring for you? And they're like, no, I'm nervous normal driving. When I'm out on the F1 track, like I'm with the 20 best drivers in the world and people aren't coming at you. Like in the real world, people are driving towards you and I don't trust them. And I thought that was kind of a funny perspective to have, that they feel safer. Brad Pitt also talked about like making this like the biggest hurdle for him was like just trusting the car. Cause he's like, you're driving 180 miles per hour. And then they tell you like, okay, you can break up the 75-yard marker for this upcoming turn. And he's like, when you're driving that fast, your brain is like, no, that's like, it will not work. But he's like, you just got to trust your car and override your brain and do it. And trust that the car's not going to slam to the wall and it's not going to roll over when you're turning this fast. And he said, it's just so crazy what they're able to accomplish. And like they're experiencing like 3, 4, 5 Gs at a time, which is crazy. Their neck workouts. How long do you think you had to practice the tennis ball thing?
I don't know.
If that's me, I'm like, if I can't do this, you guys are just CGIing this, right? I like the tennis ball thing and all that. I couldn't believe that JP didn't just die when his car blew up.
Yeah, well, Jimmy was like before the movie, it was like, he's gonna die. This is the partner character. He's gonna die. And then when that crash happens in the movie, I'm like, oh wait, Jimmy might be right. Yeah, that was an insane crash.
He's only
Just
out for
fireball.
3 weeks.
Yeah. Does not look any really worse for the wear. Has a little bit of burns on his hands, but that's it.
I thought the part where his mom just reams Sonny Hayes was interesting. I didn't see that coming because she's very much like on team Sonny. Like, you got to understand him. And then she's like, no, you're horrible for my son. And almost he has to win her back for him. JP almost has to vouch for him at the end there.
I don't think this is the same scene. Or, well, I know it's not, but I went to the restroom at one point, and I think I like completely missed them making up. Sonny and JP making up.
Well, I think, I'm trying to remember exactly what happens, but JP comes, Sonny's gone. Because Javier Bardem's like, you could die doing this. I can't, like, in good conscience let you do this. And so he's gone, and JP is there, and he's trying to like rally the troops. So he like runs on the track like Brad Pitt would do, and then when they finish their lap is when
Brad Pitt comes
back, and that little mutual respect that they have. I thought their relationship worked nicely. I was waiting for JP to just absolutely fire his social media dude. That guy.
The manager guy?
Yeah. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad that they didn't just go like, you're fired. You only care about likes. No, they were like, you're my bro still, but we got to like focus on what's actually important in life and not just all our Gen Z nonsense. So I appreciated that a lot. I thought that way added more nuance to it.
Disappointed that they did, when they were doing the driving sim stuff, they were not playing Gran Turismo. Which I know would not have been accurate anyway.
No.
I know there are F1 video games. Do those.
Yeah. Carrie Condon is in this as the engineer. I thought she was pretty good. I had the problem, like, minor critique. Holden didn't care. My problem was like Brad Pitt comes and tells her how to fix the car. Basically, he's like, "Oh no, you got to build it for combat. Your little crappy car, or whatever." And I think it would have been more interesting for her character if she was able to observe Brad Pitt's style of driving and then go back and be like, okay, I have an idea for how we can change this and alter this. Ultimately, she does go on and design the car herself and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I know that I would be interesting to hear like someone like a Formula One fan's response to this. Like, are there cars driven like this? Because I know, like, my understanding from the little research I did is Formula One is like has very strict rules, and it's like not supposed to be like that combative. So he's already kind of pushing the boundaries in that regard. So I'd be interested to hear how authentic this movie is to that.
Sure. Yeah.
From an actual like avid F1 fan. But yeah. Other things to talk about with the movie. Javier Bardem. He's nice. I like him.
Yeah,
he's funny,
he's
charismatic. The way he looks at Brad Pitt sometimes, he's like, Lisa no guy. Fun stuff there.
Yeah, I like that they were former rivals.
Yeah.
But like enough time has passed, you don't really get any there's no rivalry between them anymore, and they talk about their history and constantly referring to, I can't remember what race they keep going back to, like
Milan, I think.
Oh yeah, is this payback for Milan or something like that? But
that sounds like where a fancy F1 race would be.
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know. But I like their history that they go through and everything. It's nice. It's nice that they're just cool with each other, and that Javier Bardem genuinely cares about Brad Pitt enough to like make him leave the team because he could just die.
Yeah,
as you said. So yeah, I like that dynamic.
Absolutely. I guess back to Carrie Condon for a second. I thought she had really good chemistry with Brad Pitt. I liked the scene where she sat down with poker with them. That was fun. I liked the character moment of Sonny Hayes actually has I can't remember if it was 4 of a kind or whatever it was.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had the winning poker hand.
Yeah,
but
he let JP win.
Yeah, he folded. Yeah. I thought that was a really nice moment. Yeah, I thought the chemistry was good. Their relationship, I thought it was organically developed.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, liked all that stuff.
I like the scene where Javier Bardem just knows that Brad Pitt is in Carrie Condon's room. I thought that was funny.
That got some good laughs, definitely. You have the kind of older guy who's the like manager of the team, the coach or whatever you want to call him. There's probably a title that I'm not remembering. But I liked him and like his grandkids coming around and like just jumping fun in the car. Yeah, cool
team
stuff.
Principal, I think.
Team principal. You had like the pit crew lady, her little arc of fumbling at first, growing in confidence, that sort of thing, being a leader on that team by the end.
Yeah, she really biffed that first one.
Ooh, that was tough to watch.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, I cannot believe she kept her job.
Yeah, honestly.
I feel like when you get to that level and you goof it that much,
it's probably. I mean, honestly, yeah, probably in most cases, but it's probably just because their team sucks so much.
Horrible,
yeah.
How do you not get a 10th place in any
that's
race?
Crazy that they were just doing. They weren't placing at all. I don't know how long they had said they had been going at it.
2 years. Over 2 years.
Okay,
yeah. They had 9 races.
Okay.
Yeah. So interestingly, there's F1 season. I learned this doing research about it. They have 2 types of events: Grand Prix, and then a few like 5 or a handful of times, half dozen to 10, something like that. 3 times throughout the season, they have these sprint races. So the normal race, I believe, is 305 kilometers. And then they just divide it by the laps and round up to the. I was like, why is this race like 58 laps or something? And I'm like, there has to be some set distance. And then a sprint is 100 kilometers, and the idea is you're not required to make any pit stops and change your tires.
Okay.
And I believe they'd still do it with the Grand Prix, but I don't remember them doing any of the sprint races.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they touch on that at all. But yeah, no, I thought the way they explained everything in this movie for people who are new to F1, I don't feel like I was missing any crucial information or lost at any point.
That's a good job of explaining. Yeah,
if I wasn't a F1 fan, I'm sure I would feel like it's talking down to me at some moments.
Probably, yeah.
But I feel like you'd also just have to understand too that people are coming in not knowing that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is going to get a lot of people into the sport.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
just like Top Gun got a lot of people into the Air Force. So, yeah. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah.
You have some cool visuals doing this, like you had the fireworks going off in the beginning.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I just liked the design of like the garage and all that, and their simulators, and man, it just seems like a luxurious lifestyle. Holy smokes. I cannot fathom that lifestyle of being an F1 driver.
Oh my gosh. It's a lot of work though.
Yeah. Intense.
A lot of physical training.
Intense stuff.
A lot. Didn't get enough Shea Wiggum in this movie.
No,
he was only at the beginning.
I thought he was going to come back because I'm like, oh, Shea Wiggum.
What was up with that? Speaking of the final reckoning.
Yeah. And Brad Pitt's character just loves racing. That's fun.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
He's like, at the end of the movie, he's like, no, you know what? I'm out.
I'm going to Mexico.
Yeah. Is that where it was?
Yeah. I believe.
Baja 1000.
Yeah.
Which is apparently a real race. Yeah, Mexican.
Yeah. He should be in Mad Max. Great stuff.
Very, very much a man with no name. Just leaves as soon as he's done. His mission is done.
Yeah. Brad Pitt has come out and said he wants to do another one of these because he loved the racing so much. Would you see another one? Hold on. Would you see it can be F2 because that would be slower cars. Would you see F1 again?
F1,
the movie.
F1 2.
F1 the sequel.
Yes. Oh yeah, F1 the sequel movie. Yeah, I'd see another one. Do the Days of Thunder crossover that Joseph Kosinski, I think, jokingly said, but legit would probably do if he could.
You're telling me Tom Cruise wouldn't get in one of these cars?
He would do it. Tom Cruise he'd be so down for a racing movie.
Absolutely. He's like, Joe, you didn't get me in one of these cars. What?
Tom Cruise was at the premiere for this.
Who
was with him? Christopher McQuarrie.
McHugh, baby. McHugh, baby. I really enjoyed this. I would definitely see another one. I guess I like racing movies. I liked this. I like Gran Turismo. I have never cared for racing in real life.
I mean, you don't get a ton of racing movies, so.
Oh, before we do end, I was gonna say, every time the announcers would come on, I was thinking of the Phantom Menace guys. And here comes Skywalker. I was waiting for my boy Sebulba to pull up.
Well, that's what we were talking about. Like, legitimately, if you did like a F1 style pod racing movie in Star Wars, that'd be fun.
That'd be way better than Star Wars Starfighter.
Yeah,
I think
that's what you got to do. Just like weird genres in the Star Wars universe. That's how you keep it fresh and fun.
Yeah, cool stuff. Really fun, awesome. Joe Kosinski made 2 absolutely phenomenal movies back to back, I think.
Yeah.
That I would not necessarily have believed in beforehand. But I'm a believer in Joe Kosinski, so I'm excited to see what he's doing next. Brad Pitt had like 10 days off after this, and he's doing the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood spinoff thing with, what's his character's name in that? Again?
Cliff Booth.
Cliff Booth. That's going to Netflix. Danny Boyle, right?
No,
no, not Danny Boyle.
David Fincher.
David Fincher. Close enough.
Yeah.
I was on a roll. Close enough. Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be our review of F1.